What's poppin', guys? Welcome back to Sand Talk Sports. Let's talk about Usman versus Edwards at UFC 278. Obviously, by now we already know Edwards, and in the 5th round with around 1 minute left, he landed that insane leg kick, perfectly timed, perfectly executed, and it was kind of like the saving grace for Edwards, because if you look at the breakdown, I would say that Edwards won the 1st round, Usman came back, won the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and he was well on his way to winning the 5th round, so most likely, it was going to be a 49-46 unanimous decision win for Usman. He landed almost 3 times the total strikes compared to Usman. Significant strikes, comfortable amount, especially to the head. And Usman had lots of control time, around 4 times the amount of Edwards, and shout Edwards for, actually getting that takedown, the first time taking down Usman. Obviously, Colby Covington technically wasn't the first one, had the first takedown, but it wasn't counted. So, even having a sub attempt in that 1st round was surprising, but Usman showed his championship characteristics. He came back and he really dominated this fight. It was not really close at all up until that wild leg kick by Leon Edwards. And like we see here, Leon Edwards shocked the MMA world, and I totally agree with that. And Usman is the pound for pound best fighter in the world, and I think in some ways he was a little bit too overconfident. I felt like at that point in time, especially in the 5th round, 1 minute left, he felt invincible. That's why he was still, trading with Edwards. He wasn't really maintaining his distance, because I felt like if Usman, had a couple more inches in terms of his stepping back a little bit more and not being in range for Edwards to land any shots, any punches, any kicks, then Usman would be coasting to an easy peasy 49-46 victory, and people would be like, wow, Usman is indeed the #1 pound for pound fighter. And this is really one of the biggest upsets in UFC history, because not only is Usman the #1 pound for pound fighter, he has won 20 straight matches, as you can see here. In the UFC, that's pretty much 12, 13, 14, 15 consecutive wins as part of the UFC. And he has defended the UFC welterweight championship belt 5 times, and he was well on his way to his 6th. Meanwhile, for Edwards, let's put some respect on Edwards, even though he was on his way to losing this matchup. I mean, besides his loss to Usman in 2015, 7 years ago, he's done nothing but win, 10 straight wins besides that no contest. And I was really impressed by Edwards. Yes, I think even though he was pretty well on his way to losing this matchup, he wasn't really at any point in time hurt badly by Usman, as you can see in the most recent couple championship fights of Usman. He had great knockdowns, Colby Covington, Gilbert Burns, and even Masvidal. We already saw what happened to him, that brutal KO. And for Edwards, besides Gunnar Nelson and Peter Sabota, not many prominent knockdowns until that leg kick